If you're tired or maybe even hurt by your own kids' dishonesty and lying, and you'd like to see a change, then you need to watch today's video where I'm going to open up my parenting playbook and show you 5 specific parenting strategies I use anytime I'm working with kids or families who have kids who struggle with being honest. We're not just looking to have children stop lying. We're looking for them to value truth. We're looking for them to develop integrity and this internal aspect of their heart called the conscience, where honesty is highly valued. And so that's going to take more than us just telling kids they need to stop this or trying to catch them in the middle of a lie. We need to do some genuine heart work with children using a heart-based approach to our parenting so we can see them grow in their heart and not just their external behavior. Yes, we want children's behavior to change, but if their heart hasn't changed as well, the behavior really is meaningless. Jesus himself focuses in on the heart first, knowing that if we can get the heart to change, we will see the behavior change as well. And so that's why these 5 strategies I pull right out of my parenting playbook all focus in on your child's heart. And you're going to use these different strategies in different amounts and measures based on your child's ages and stages and what they need. Different kids are going to need different things. And so God's given us a whole lot of parenting tools we can use with children. But since he made them unique, he wants us to uniquely parent them with the tools he's provided. And if we're just meeting for the first time, I'm BJ Muir. How you doing? I'm a Christian parenting coach who helps families use a heart-based approach to parenting so they can stop focusing on just their kids' behavior and focus on their hearts instead, so that the behavior comes along as well. When we use a heart-based approach to parenting, we don't just see change that's temporary or in one area of life, we see change that truly lasts. So let's look at these 5 specific strategies. This first one is what I like to call lessons on integrity. In the lessons on integrity strategy, we're going to be doing a lot of teaching with our kids. This is going to look like storytelling and conversations. Our children need to learn to value the importance of integrity, honesty, and trust, and to recognize that trust is a huge commodity in relationships. It is an expensive commodity. It is easy to break, tough to rebuild, and we need our children to understand that. So I'm going to give you right now a specific story I tell children that you can tell your children to help them understand how important trust is. This story is called the vase story, or maybe it's called the vase story if you like to pronounce it that way. Whatever way you pronounce it, this is the story I tell children to help them understand how important trust is. So I'll tell them, hey, let's pretend I have this glass vase over here. And, it's lovely, it's beautiful, it holds, what does it hold? And the kids are like, oh, it holds flowers. Yeah, absolutely. Holds flowers, and flowers are beautiful. They're precious. They're a sign of my love and affection for whoever I bought those flowers for. And when I get flowers, I try to put them in the vase. I put the vase somewhere where everybody gets to see it. Maybe it's the middle of the table. Maybe it's on a shelf or the mantle, but I put it somewhere where we can see it. And that's so important with a nice vase of flowers, is that we recognize how precious it is, how lovely it is, how beautiful it is. But I want you to think about something. What happens if you lift the vase off the table or the mantle and you're walking with it and you accidentally let it go? What happens at that point? The kid says it falls to the floor. Some kids will make the leap and say it breaks. And you say, absolutely. It totally breaks. It's glass. Is glass hard to break? And they're like, no. And does glass just break into like 2 pieces? And he's like, no, it shatters everywhere. It makes a big mess. We got to watch out where we step till we clean it up. So we're going to have a big mess if we break this special vase with these beautiful flowers in it. Now, are we going to be able to put this vase back together? And kids were like, no, you can't. I was like, not usually, but let's pretend for a minute in my story, like we could go to the store and they sell this special glue and it's called glass glue. And you go out and you buy the glass glue. Could you put it back together now if you had the time to? Yeah, you could. You could take the time and sit down and start putting pieces together, putting the glue on, holding it together, and then one piece at a time. But is it going to be easy to do this? No, it's not. You're going to have to take the time to figure out what pieces get matched up where, and you might even get a little prick here or there on your fingers from the sharp edges of the glass. You're going to have to be really careful. This is going to take time, attention, and you're going to need to be really careful as you do it. But let's say you actually take the time to do this. What's going to happen? You're going to have a vase again, and you could put fresh, beautiful flowers in it. That's the great thing about this glass glue, is that we could rebuild this vase. At this point in the story, I start turning the story personal to the child and whatever they're struggling with, whether it be that they were taking sweets out of the pantry when they shouldn't have, or watching screens when they shouldn't have been, or whatever it was that they were being dishonest about. That's when I start turning this story towards them. And I build the analogy out. And I talk about how in relationships, we all have an imaginary vase. And that vase is called trust. It's precious. It's beautiful. It holds beautiful things because it holds our relationship. But when we are dishonest, it breaks the vase. It shatters it. And just like it's easy to break a vase, it's very easy to break trust. All you have to do is lie and be dishonest. That's what breaks the trust vase in our lives. But here's the great news. Even though we don't have glass glue in the real world, we have glass glue in our relationships. You can take the time to be honest and focus in on rebuilding trust. It's easy to break trust. It's going to take time and intention to rebuild it, but you can rebuild it. And then I need to help children see how they can rebuild it. I tell them the easiest way to rebuild trust is getting caught doing the right thing again and again and again. I'll say it one more time because it's a powerful, simple little statement you want to make to your kids. The easiest way to rebuild trust is get caught doing the right thing time and time, over and over again. And as that happens, trust starts to rebuild. And the relationship between the two people is healed and is strong and can go forward again. But we need to work on it in the meantime. And so that means, yeah, I'm going to double check on you at times. You're going to need to be accountable in some ways because I'm not going to just be able to trust that you said you did it or that you fixed this thing or you did that thing. I'm going to have to check on it so that we can rebuild trust. When I have to check, I want to see it done. I want to see what you said to be actually true. And that when I check on it, I get to see you put a little extra bit of glass back into the vase and we're rebuilding trust. That's how we tell a story to children, to help them understand this importance of trust. Sometimes I change the analogy. I use a bridge as an example. We talk about rebuilding the bridge of trust and how the bridge of trust is rebuilt one brick at a time. It takes time, but it can happen. And again, you learn, you rebuild trust and the trust bridge by getting caught doing the right thing over and over and over again, time after time. So that's using the teaching tool really to help start this conversation about dishonesty and lying and helping cast a vision for our children for the importance of trust and giving them something to aim for, that it's not just stop lying, it's start building trust. But not every child's going to change just because they heard a good story from you. They're going to need some more. And that's where my second strategy in my playbook comes in handy. It's called building in accountability. Right now, we have a child who's struggling with being dishonest. We're trying to build honesty in there. And so they have shown us through their past actions that they currently don't have a heart that's strong enough to handle some of the extra freedoms and liberties that we've given them and some of the extra trust that we've given them because they've lied about it. And so we need to build some accountability features in, not to catch them when they're doing it wrong, but instead to hopefully, one, catch them when they are being honest so we can affirm it. And two, if they are starting to do something wrong, we do catch it a little bit quicker, not so we can say, gotcha. Instead, so we can turn them in the right direction and encourage them to change. And so we can make decisions if we need to take more actions. Let me show you what I mean. Maybe we have a kid who is lying about what they're doing on screens. And it's not that they're doing anything bad on screens. It's just that they have discovered a way to break in through our passwords. They're getting onto the iPad or the device of choice more times than they're supposed to. They're finding ways to shut down the screen limit times. And so they're coming in. Okay, we've got to do some things here in terms of accountability to increase the opportunities to demonstrate honesty and integrity. And so, yes, we might have our child lose complete access to that device for a time being. I'm not going to tell them till Friday or till next month. I'm not putting a deadline on it because I don't know how fast their heart's going to change. Their heart might take longer to change than my deadline. I'm handing back a device because I promised I'd hand it back on Friday when they're not really ready for it. Or they might change a lot quicker, but they're not going to bother changing because it's Tuesday and I'm not getting my device back till Friday, whether I change or not. So there's no incentive for me to change any quicker. So I'm not going to put a deadline on this, but I might take the device away. And I'm probably going to be going back looking for new ways to put in passwords and other ways to block off the ability to change the screen time limits or whatever. I'm doing that behind the scenes. For my child, they might have lost any connection to this device for a while. And I tell my child, I'm going to be looking to see where else in life you are being honest so we can start rebuilding trust. So if I ask you things like, did you pick up the toys in the playroom? I am going to go check to see how it went. Or when you come and tell me that you finished your chore, I am going to go check your chore to make sure it's actually done. Because when I catch you having picked up those toys or having finished that chore like you said, I've just caught you being honest. And that's going to start healing this relationship, rebuilding the bridge, rebuilding the vase, whatever language you used with your child. And so, yeah, we are increasing accountability in that sense. At some point, I need to also, though, stop holding on to this device in this scenario and actually give it back. But I'm not just going to give it back like it is. You know, I've changed passwords. I've changed some sort of settings on it so you can't change the screen time without me getting a text message or something, whatever I did. And now I'm also going to do some other things. I might tell my child, you need to use this device now while I'm in the room with you. It's not something you get to take off and go use in the backyard, in the playroom, upstairs in your bedroom. This needs to stay in common areas where I'm closer by. And your kid's probably going to say, I don't like that. So you can say, well, I don't either, because I don't really have time to be watching over you doing this stuff. I was trusting you to do the right thing, and I want to trust you again. And this is one of the ways I'm going to be able to catch you being honest, is that when I walk through the living room and see you on your device because you got permission for it, I see you navigating the websites we talked about or playing the apps we talked about, that when the time limit's up, I don't need to remind you. You come to me and say, Mom, I got 1 more minute left on my time. I figured I'd get the device to you now. Things like that start rebuilding trust. I hope you're seeing the relationship here between these different strategies. And different kids are going to need different amounts of these. Some kids might need more lessons and object lessons and conversations around it. Other kids are going to need some stronger pieces of accountability, that's for sure. But we need both of these in place to balance things out for children and to help with this multifaceted approach where we help children move their hearts in the right direction by both calling them forward to it. That's backwards, isn't it? Calling them forward to it, and also kind of pushing them along, saying it's not okay to stay here anymore. We are not living this way anymore. That's the accountability piece. That's the firmness piece. Notice I said firmness and not harshness, but firmness, saying we are not living this way. We are moving forward instead. Oh, something I forgot to do. I forgot to tell you to hit the like button. I always forget to tell you to hit the like button. This is me not forgetting to tell you to hit the like button. It really does help. If you're finding this video helpful, hit the like button. Okay, I'll stop saying it. Did you hit the like button? Now, this third parenting strategy that's in my playbook is, I find, one of the most powerful strategies there. And I wanted to start with it in this video, but I thought, no, I really need to kind of put this one in the middle because that's really where it belongs. And that's called investments in relationships. We need to be investing more in relationships. It's more challenging, not impossible, but it is more challenging to be dishonest and lie to people who you feel close to. When you feel close to people, you both extend and give trust a whole lot faster. You both extend and give honesty a whole lot faster because there's this closeness in relationship. And so when our children are routinely lying, it often suggests that we need to develop the relationship a little bit more. We need to make some purposeful investments in the relationship. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right here. I was just showing you how to balance out like lessons in integrity and accountability. I was going like this. Well, now I'm going to go like this. Apparently this is the hand motion video. And I want to talk about two things, getting into your child's world and inviting them into your world. So we did this, now we're going to do this. Let's come full circle. So getting into their world looks like you taking an interest in the things your children love to do. It's noticing your kids coloring down on the floor and getting down on the floor and coloring with them. It's playing with the dolls that they're playing with, or sitting by and watching them play their video game and talking to them about it. Or if you can play the video game, jumping in and playing with them. It's taking an interest in their interests. It's throwing the ball out front. It's talking about their favorite sports team or whatever the thing is. Engaging in those times where you are purposefully getting into their world and investing in them and their interests and taking an interest in that shows that you value them and you value what they value, and ending those moments. These don't have to be day-long things. It's great if it is, but it doesn't have to be. These would be 5-10-minute moments that you have. You want to end those times very purposefully and intentionally. Maybe after 5 or 10 minutes of doing an activity, you thank your child and talk about how wonderful it was. You don't want to overdo it, but something as simple as saying like, hey, thanks for letting me sit in and watch you play this video game. You're really good at it. I have a lot of fun when we get to hang out like this. Something like that goes a long way. Or saying, oh, it was really fun coloring together. We have fun when we color together, don't we? Using phrases like we and team, things like that, demonstrate closeness in relationship and start to provide the language of closeness in relationship. So that's getting into their world. Let's talk about bringing them into our world. Bringing kids into our world looks like purposely inviting them into activities we're doing. Yes, you could go to the store and grab those last couple of bits of groceries you need for dinner tonight all by yourself. And you'll probably go even a little faster if you went by yourself. But instead, invite your kid to come along. You could go to the hardware store and get the wood or screws or whatever it is you need for the project, probably a little bit faster on your own. Invite your kid to come along too instead. You could go ahead and fix dinner all by yourself. Invite your kid to come along instead. All the things that you would do on your own, invite your kid into it. I just gave you a bunch of chores as options, but it doesn't have to be chores. It can be anything that you like to do. You could go on a walk. Instead of going for your exercise walk on your own, invite your kid to come along. Anything it is. But again, at the end of those moments, be purposeful in how you end it and say things like, boy, thanks for coming to the store with me. We make a great team. You really helped out. I loved having you go to the other aisle to grab the one set of screws while I looked for whatever it is you look for over here, whatever it might be. You don't have to get that specific. Just telling them, we had a great time together. We make a great team. That type of language is exactly what you need to do to get into their world and invite them into your world. These investments in relationships are so important. I've watched as parents have come to me talking about their children who struggle with honesty. And when we start investing in the relationship, something changes. There's a harshness, a coldness in their heart, a shell that they were putting up often that starts to crack and crumble because relationship. Think about how you and I have changed because of a relationship with Jesus. Jesus didn't come in with all the rules. He didn't come in telling us all our problems, everything we're doing bad. Instead, he started with a relationship that dealt with what we were doing that was wrong, a relationship that, did make it really clear what his expectations are. But that's not where Jesus started. Jesus started with a relationship. And how much have you and I changed because of our relationship with Jesus? Same's true in our relationships with our children. If we want to start seeing more honesty in our children, we need to be valuing the relationships that we have and investing in them, even when we think they're strong, even when we think they're working great. The evidence is saying something else is going on here. And so we need to listen to the evidence, not just how we feel about the relationship, and make the investments the relationship needs. The fourth strategy that is in my playbook that I use whenever children are struggling with lying and dishonesty is called time and prayer. Many times children want to know, especially when we start building in these accountability pieces, how long is this going to be? How long is it going to take? And when kids ask that question, I say, I don't know. It depends on how quickly you rebuild trust. Well, how's that work? Well, I need to see you being honest, catch you doing the right thing over and over and over again. Well, how many times? I don't know, honey. I wish I could tell you I knew exactly how many times, but this is a relationship, and relationships don't work that way with an automatic number. Instead, they work through just the natural interactions that we have. So I'm going to need to take time here and see how it develops. But I want you to know, I want this to change as quickly as possible. I want to trust you as quickly as possible. But I'm not just going to fake trust you to help you feel better about it or give you trust faster than your heart demonstrates you're really ready for it. So it's going to take time, but I'm on your side, hoping that this doesn't take that long to do. And in the process, we need to be praying for our kids. We need to be praying for God to be working in their hearts, that the Holy Spirit would sit hard on their hearts in the area of honesty, and that those times when they start thinking about being dishonest, that they change course and instead tell the truth. Instead, that they are willing to be brave. In fact, one of the things that I'll tell children, and this kind of goes into the teaching them lessons, the first tool, is I'll talk to them about trust and how telling the truth is so important. Many parents will say, well, should my kid get in trouble when they've told me the truth about something they've done that was wrong? Well, yes and no. And let me tell you what I mean. I'll tell kids, hey, if you did something wrong, that's one problem. And I'll often hold one finger up. That's one problem you've got here. And this is the problem. We need to deal with this problem. There might be consequences for this problem. So there's the yes, there are consequences at times. But here's the thing. If you're honest with me, you only have one problem. But if you're dishonest and you lie, you now have two problems. And this one is even bigger. I mean, just look, it's bigger. It's bigger because this is where you broke trust. And now we have two problems to handle. So now we've got more consequences. There's the no part. So keep it honest, and we only have to deal with one problem. That's the importance of time and prayer, and praying for our children that they can remember to be honest, even when it might be scary to be honest. We want to offer our children scriptures. We want to work on memory verses together, not to beat them over the head with the Bible, but to plant the word of God deep inside their heart. So that way, when the Holy Spirit starts speaking to them about being honest about something, that the Holy Spirit can touch that part of your child's heart that has the word planted in it from the Bible memorization you were doing. So pick out a Bible verse, plaster it all over the house, work on it together. Pick lots of different Bible verses, some that are about honesty, some that are about other things too, because we don't want the kid to feel like we're picking on them. So let's come up with lots of different Bible verses to memorize, but some of them are going to focus in on honesty. And the fifth parenting tool I use from my playbook is called maintaining hope. If we don't use this tool, we're not going to see any change. We need to maintain hope throughout. And maintaining hope is actually interwoven in all the other tools that I've shown you here today. We want to maintain hope when we're building in systems of accountability by not putting a deadline on it, but telling them we're waiting to see how their heart changes, and we're looking forward to seeing that change. We maintain hope by telling them how much we're on their side with this. We maintain hope by building relationship even more. We maintain hope by telling that story about the vase, but showing them how, yes, it can be rebuilt. We maintain hope by telling them, hey, I'm praying for you in this area. I'm looking forward to seeing you have a good heart change in this area. That's how we maintain hope. And as you're looking at this video, you've probably seen me talk about lying and dishonesty with a lot more smile on my face than maybe you're feeling when you're dealing with it. Can we be honest? it really hurts when we're trying to help our kids with this area. It wounds us at times, and we feel it deep down. We can't believe this kid's lying to us. So don't take these 5 tools and just think, oh, it's all happy clappy. No, this is hard work. And when we're especially using things like building systems of accountability, guess what? We want to catch them doing the right thing, but we're going to catch them doing the wrong thing sometimes. And that's going to hurt even more. That's when you and I need to stay calm in the moment. We need to remember our kid did not wake up today looking to mess up our day. They did not wake up today saying, I can't wait to lie to mom and dad. No, that's not what they did. There's something else going on inside the heart. And our job is to remain the parent, the mature one here, and to calmly work through this with our children. That means sometimes we're going to have to walk away for a few minutes and tell our kids, I need to go take a break. I'm going to come back when I'm calmer and can parent you the way that Jesus wants me to. And that's okay to go ahead and do. That shows strength at that moment. But this is hard stuff to do. And I'm so glad that you've made it to this point in this video. And if you're wondering how you can go further with your kids or how you can do things like build natural systems into family life where when you tell them to do things, they actually go do it. Or when they come and tell you they're done with something, you know to kind of go check up on it. And it's not in a I'm checking on you way, but just a great collaborative way. You want to check out the video I'll put right here.